I want to paint a picture for you. And the truth is, if this is what your reality looks like, it's not going to be that challenging for you to imagine. You just got done having a delicious dinner with your family. You're cleaning up the kitchen, getting ready to head into the living room to watch Netflix with your family through the remainder of the night. But yet, within 15 or 20 minutes of sitting down on the couch, you find yourself having a desire to walk back into the kitchen to find something to eat because you feel hungry yet again. And so you walk into the kitchen and you open up the refrigerator and you're staring in there aimlessly looking for something to eat. You then open the pantry and wonder, is there a snack in here for me? But then you start to question, what the fuck is wrong with me? I know that I just ate a fully balanced, delicious, satiating meal that had me full. Why do I feel hungry again? Why am I back in the kitchen looking for something to eat? If this resonates with you, I want you to know that you are not alone. I spent the large majority of my life living this way as well, where as soon as I got done eating, 15, 20 minutes later, I wanted to be back in the kitchen finding something to eat yet again. And so I had to learn to understand that it's not actually more willpower, more discipline that I needed to overcome this desire. I needed to learn to understand, why do I have the desire to eat when I know that I'm not actually hungry because I just got done eating? So often we ask ourselves, how do I stop eating? But what we really need to begin to ask ourselves is, what am I looking for from food that I could find a way to give to myself elsewhere in life? If you resonate with this and you want to understand the reasons why you might be back in the kitchen looking for something to eat, even though you just ate, today's conversation is going to be a powerful one for you. So let's dive in. Reason number one why you might be finding yourself back in the kitchen looking to eat, even though you just ate, is because you're not actually looking for food. What you're looking for is relief. Truth be told, you and I both are living very stressful lives. Today, in fact, up until this very moment right here and now, I've had an incredibly stressful day. For the last 3 days, I felt so overstimulated by everything around me. I'm a few days before my period, and my emotions are just all over the place. For so many years of my life, I didn't know how to cope with the emotions that I was feeling when I would have arguments or frustrations with my partner or at work, or having a really just bad or hard day, feeling overwhelmed by life, feeling like my emotions are not the way that I want them to be. I started looking for relief. And where I found relief at a very early age was through food. And when my brain learned that food is the solution to the relief that I am craving, then there I find myself back in the kitchen, ready to find the relief that I am so desperate for. I know that your life is busy. I know that your life is chaotic. And I am certain that your life is also stressful, because that is a part of the human experience. When you can learn to understand that when you're turning to food, you're not actually looking to fulfill an empty stomach, you're looking to fulfill emptiness somewhere within yourself besides your stomach. I realized for myself that turning to the kitchen looking for food to eat was trying to fulfill parts of me that food just never could. Food can't fill the emptiness in your heart from having a frustrating day. Food can't fill the emptiness in your heart from going through a breakup with your partner. Food can't fill the emptiness in your heart from feeling frustrated by your children. Food can't fill an empty heart when you're living a lonely life. Food can't fill an empty heart when you feel deeply unfulfilled in the things that you are doing. Food cannot fix those things. So it's important for you to realize it's not actually food you're looking for, it's relief. And when you can start getting curious about how you can find that relief elsewhere, everything can begin to change for you. There are so many ways for you to cope with the stresses of life, and so many other places for you to find relief so that you can actually feel the way that you want to feel. Because if you're honest with yourself, food isn't actually giving you those feelings. It's easy to go to the kitchen and eat and find 10 or 15 minutes of pleasure. But what happens after those 10 or 15 minutes are over is you likely don't even find yourself feeling better. You probably find yourself frustrated and looking for even more relief. So where do you go? Right back to the kitchen. So if you want to stop eating when you're not actually hungry because you've just eaten, it's important for you to make the mindset shift to understand that you're not actually looking for food, you're looking for relief, and then get curious about where you can find that relief elsewhere in your life. The second reason that you might be finding yourself in the kitchen looking to eat, even though you've just eaten, is because you've never learned to sit in the discomfort that life puts in front of you without immediately feeling the need to feel better. When we don't know how to sit in the discomfort that life puts in front of us, sadness, heartbreak, frustration, guilt, anxiety, worry, shame, when we haven't learned how to sit in those emotions, it is so easy to want to move through them as quickly quickly as possible. And you have likely, like I did, learned in life that food is a very quick resource to moving through those emotions. Something that I used to believe for a really, really long time that I'm so happy I have finally let go of was believing that happiness was going to be a constant state that I would experience in my life. What I failed to realize is that happiness is like all of the other emotions. We feel them, we experience them, they come and they go. There is no feeling in your life that you have felt permanently since the moment that you felt it. Happiness passes, sadness passes, heartbreak passes, worry passes, anxiety passes, stress passes, overwhelm passes. All of these feelings and emotions pass in life. But so many of us don't know how to sit with them while they are present. So we look for things outside of ourselves to move through them more quickly. Some of us, like you and I, turn to food. Other people turn to drugs. Other people turn to sex. Other people turn to alcohol. People turn to all sorts of things to move through negative emotions, healthy options and not so healthy options. And while food isn't the worst thing in the world to help you move through your emotions, and I don't want you to feel bad for learning to turn to food to move through discomfort. I do want you to understand that if you're here listening to this conversation, it's because you realize that it's not actually serving you in your life to continue to turn to food to move through discomfort. It is so important for you to learn to sit with and process through what you're actually feeling instead of just trying to bury it deeper, brush it under the rug, or move it out of the way. Because the thing is, it is going to come back, which is why so many of us find ourselves stuck in the cycle of feeling bad and eating, and then feeling worse and then eating, and then feeling bad and then eating, and then feeling worse and eating. We find ourselves stuck in this toxic cycle because we're constantly turning to something that doesn't actually make us feel better to help us feel better, and it doesn't work in the long run. It may bring you moments of temporary relief, like we talked about around reason one, but you need to learn to sit with the discomfort that life is going to put in front of you. It's important for you to start practicing this, even if it's for just 5 minutes when you start feeling uncomfortable and the voice in your head says, go to the kitchen and find something to eat. Learn to sit with it for just a couple of moments. I'm not saying that you need to torture yourself by sitting in your emotions, but what I am saying is you need to learn to feel them so that you can actually move through them. Because if you just keep suppressing them and pushing them under the rug, they're going to resurface and you're going to find yourself back in the kitchen yet again. The third reason that you may be finding yourself in the kitchen looking to eat, even though you just ate, is that this is kind of a sad one. You don't have much else that you look forward to in life. And I resonate with this deeply because for so much of my life, food was my primary source of excitement. Food was the thing that helped me feel the way that I wanted to feel. Food was the thing that put a smile on my face. Food was the thing that I looked forward to and got excited about. There wasn't much more in my life that I got excited about in the way that I got excited about food. For so many of us, our day-to-day lives really do not give us enough pleasure because we haven't really found a way to feel pleasure in them. This is one of the reasons why I did the Romanticize Your Life challenge, because I wanted to find moments of joy and pleasure and happiness in things that are so mundane in my life. Most days you probably wake up, you go to work, you go through the motions at work, you come home, you feed your kids, you put them into bed. You have such a mundane life and you've not learned to find joy and pleasure and excitement and happiness in those small mundane moments. So what becomes the reward? Your delicious morning coffee, your lunch, your dessert at the end of the day. We have found so much joy and pleasure in food because we're not able to find it elsewhere, or we haven't really tried to find it elsewhere. So many of us only allow ourselves to feel happiness and excitement and all of these big emotions that we want to feel around huge, grand moments that are happening. But those moments are so few and far between that if we're not learning to find joy and pleasure in the small, mundane, day-to-day moments, we're left not really feeling a lot of pleasure. We're left not feeling a lot of joy. And so it's very easy to turn to what for many of us is the best part of our day for joy and pleasure. And if it's the best part of your day, guess what? You're going to want more of it. So how much more frequently are you going to find yourself in the kitchen, in front of the refrigerator, in front of the pantry, looking for something to eat when you have found that that is the thing that brings you the feelings that you want to experience in your life? You have gotten really good at avoiding the discomfort and looking to food for relief and joy and pleasure and happiness when there's nothing wrong with enjoying food. But the reality is your life should include a lot more joy and excitement and pleasure beyond what you're putting in your mouth. And the fourth and final reason why you might be finding yourself right back in the kitchen ready to eat, even though you have just eaten, is because you were trying to be quote unquote good all day long. And now your body is starving and it's asking you to feed it. And you need to do so. However, you use this as a means to justify overeating and constantly eating through the entire night. Because in your mind, you haven't eaten all day. And so now it's fine. It's justified. You're making up for all of the food that you missed throughout the course of the day. I will say this until I am blue in the face. If you are a binge eater, an emotional eater, or someone who feels out of control with food in any capacity, starving yourself throughout the course of the day, skipping meals, putting off meals, is not serving you in a positive way at all whatsoever. It is quite literally setting you up for failure. Because when you delay meals or skip meals because you feel like you're trying to make up for what you've done in the past, or you're trying to save calories so that you can go home and eat more, you are setting yourself up for failure. Having balanced meals throughout the course of your day is one of the biggest gifts that you can give yourself when it comes to healing your relationship with food and getting out of the kitchen even though you have just eaten. When you don't eat all day long and you come home from a long and stressful day, what do you think is the first thing you're going to want to do when you walk through the door? Head right to the pantry, head right to the refrigerator. And then your brain starts to justify everything that you're shoveling in your mouth because, well, I haven't eaten all day. Your body is keeping the score, and your body, babe, it needs you to feed it. So I want you to do yourself a favor and stop trying to be good all day and start thinking about how can I nourish myself? Because your definition of good when it comes to food is not eating enough, skipping meals, and trying to lose weight at probably a pace that is far too fast. I actually have a client right now, if you're listening, I love you so much, who is actively losing like 1 to 2 pounds every single week. And she's so frustrated because she's not losing weight as fast as she wants to. This may encourage people to decide, well, I'm just going to skip this meal. I'm not going to eat this because I want to see the number on the scale go down faster. This is a massive, massive disservice for you. And I can promise you it is going to backfire. If you're constantly finding yourself right back in the kitchen after having just eaten your dinner at the end of a long day, I can guarantee you are not fueling yourself properly throughout the course of the day. And if you start doing this, you'll likely find that these cravings to be back in the kitchen, especially if you address all the other things that we're talking about here, are going to happen far less frequently. Real quick, before we wrap up today's conversation, if this episode resonated with you, I would love to extend you the invitation into my MBS program. We are beginning on September 6th, and this is a 6-week high-level group coaching program for women who resonate with conversations like this and are tired of feeling like food is controlling their lives. I spent almost 20 years of my life binge eating. For the last 6 years, I have been helping women just like you who have been struggling with binge eating, emotional eating, and really feeling like they don't know how to respect their body when it comes to the relationship that they have with food. Inside of MBS, I am not giving you another diet. I am not giving you another meal plan. I am not giving you a workout routine that's going to help you lose weight fast. I am helping you uncover and understand why these patterns exist in your life so that you can deeply understand yourself and the relationship that you have with food. We will work on rebuilding the relationship you have with yourself, deepening trust within yourself, learning how to be a woman who keeps the small promises and commitments that she makes to herself, is free from binge and emotional eating, knows how to honor her true hunger and fullness, and isn't doing things like this, finding herself back in the kitchen eating even though she knows she's not hungry. The shame and frustration and disappointment that that is bringing into your life is not something that you deserve to live with forever. I remember sitting outside of my house 10 years ago, almost exactly. Oh my gosh, yesterday was 10 years since I locked myself out of my apartment. Absolutely crazy. 10 years ago, I locked myself out of my apartment because I just couldn't stop eating. I felt powerless and out of control with food. And now I am nearly 10 years binge free. I have a healthy relationship with food, an intuitive eater. I respect my body. I don't turn to food to cope with my emotions. I know how to sit through the discomfort. And guess what? My brain doesn't even tell me to go in the kitchen to eat something after I've just eaten because I've stopped giving in to that voice in my head that tells me to do things that don't align with a woman woman that I truly want to be. And if you want that for yourself as well, I would love to take you through MBS, the Mind, Body, and Spirit Transformation Program, where we will transform the woman that you are from the inside out and completely rewrite the relationship that you have with yourself, your body, and food. If this interests you, just send me a DM on Instagram, join_Jessica_XO. If we're not already connected on there, we should be, because I've got lots of good content that will help you improve the relationship that you have with food. Okay. I want you to do yourself a favor, and the next time you find yourself in the kitchen ready to eat, even though you've just eaten and you know that you are not physically hungry, I want you to stop asking yourself, how do I stop eating right now? And instead ask, what am I looking for food to give me that I can find a way to give to myself elsewhere? This will transform so much for you, and it will help you start looking for ways to give to yourself beyond just finding pleasure and relief in food. I also want you to do yourself a favor, and the next time that a hard emotion comes up, set a timer on your phone for just 5 minutes and give yourself permission to sit with it. The one thing that I think is so important for all of us to understand when it comes to food and cravings and urges, these things will pass if we give them an opportunity to. But so many of us are not willing to give ourselves just a moment of being uncomfortable, to sit with the feeling, to sit with the urge, to sit with the craving and allow it to pass. We give in immediately. And we are strengthening this bond that is happening in our brain, where when we feel an urge to go in the kitchen and eat, we give our brain exactly what it wants. And so it knows, send the signal and I'm going to get what I'm asking for. It is your responsibility, if it doesn't feel good for you to be standing in the kitchen and shoveling food in your mouth, even though you know you're not hungry. It is your responsibility to start looking at some of these things and addressing them in your own life, so that you can start truly honoring and respecting your body by feeding it when it's physically hungry, but also not feeding it when it's not. If you appreciated today's conversation, it would mean so much if you took just 30 seconds to let me know. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can like and subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and let me know how this episode resonated with you. If you're listening on one of the streaming platforms, you can leave a rating and review, or you can interact with me on Spotify through the Q&A feature. Also, make sure you're following the show so you don't miss new episodes every week. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you with all of my heart. Thank you for being here, and I will chat with you next week on a brand new episode of the Queen of Pep Talks podcast. See ya.